All right, let's compare sync versus async invocation. So for sync, you wait for the response. For async, the response is immediately returned because things are going to be being processed in the background. For sync, you have immediate processing needed. So when you need the response returned right away, like APIs, for async, we have delayed processing, such as when we're working with uploads. For sync, the caller receives the response immediately. For async, we have outputted directly to an AWS service, not the caller. For sync, for error handling, the caller handles errors based on the response. For async, AWS Lambda, we have AWS Lambda retries, or we send it to a dead letter queue for unhandled errors. For sync, we'd be using AWS API Gateway or the SDK or the CLI, the API directly. For async, we're looking at S3 notifications, SNS, CloudWatch events. For sync, when we're talking about concurrency, the caller manages manages the demand peaks, and for async, AWS Lambda manages scaling automatically. For sync, it's based on request count and execution time. For async, it's the same but without waiting for the response. For sync, the source is triggered by user actions and requests. For async, it's triggered by AWS services and custom apps. For sync, the feedback is immediate for interactive apps. For async, there is no immediate feedback. It's great for event-driven apps. For sync, the timeout is subject to the caller's timeout. For async, it's only the Lambda's timeout that applies. So hopefully that makes sense. There you go.